Hey everybody, sorry, coming over from the computer, getting everything up and running. Just having a little bit of a doodle tonight. I'll try and keep an eye on the screen and see if anybody ducks in. Going to make some paper seedling pot makers. They come up about the size of a toilet roll, and I think they're better than a toilet roll because they actually disintegrate a lot quicker. So I just had to duck around and find a bit of paper so I could sort of demonstrate the technology, as it were. So I've got one sitting up here on the headstock already that I've made, one I prepared earlier. So normally you'd use newspaper, but any sort of paper can do. So you line up the top edge of the paper. That's going to wash out a little bit there with all the white. But you line up the top edge of the paper with the thing. You wrap it around, not too tight. It's probably a little bit too long. And then you just scrunch the bottom over like so. Use the little tamper pad to just tamp it down, and voila, you have a little seedling pot. How's that? So this is just pallet pine. I've made myself a little rudimentary storyboard out of a box divider. So it gives me the length of the handle, the outside diameter of the handle, the inside diameter here, and on the other side, the two important measurements. So the outside diameter of the base is not critical, and it doesn't really even matter if it's round apart from aesthetically. These two, the diameter of the little ridge and the diameter of the outside, so the internal diameter of the groove and the outside diameter of the ridge in the middle of the two measurements there. Now, they're not measured. I've just made this, worked out that it worked, and just made the storyboard off that. So, having said that, so the inside diameter here is around 35 mil. The diameter of the ridge in the base is about 30 mil, and the outside, the inside of the outer rim, so the groove, that's about 46 mil. So the groove is approximately 8 mil wide. If you go too narrow or too wide, too narrow and it cuts the paper when you push it in, and too wide and it doesn't really tamp it in enough to hold it tight. Now I've done a bit of prep work, so I've got these semi-rounded with a tenon on them for the chuck already, so I've got 4 or 5 ready to go. Yeah, so I'll get into it. So what I've done here is I've got calipers set up so I can get my diameters. That's the one thing I didn't measure on my little storyboard. There we go. Let's do a measurement on the fly now. So I've done the total length of my handle, but the length there is reasonably important too, because that's the length of your pot. So just start this up again. So I'm doing this with the skew. My little diameters were just over what I actually wanted. I'm doing it with the skew because this is a practical gardening piece. I really don't want to be doing any sanding or anything afterwards. Go, Jennifer, Pat, Tommy. How's Vintage treating your cat? No close contacts through Vintage, as you said. So what I've done is I had the calipers set up to make my have I got the right ones in there? Yep. So this is calipers set up just to make my little internal ridge here. I need to be a little bit gentle because I'm a fair way out from the chuck, but I don't have to take much in. You only go in about 5 mil. I made a few of these last year and they've sold right into the community store. Keep them simple. Get up a little bit higher. Good skew practice. Just grab a little bit of 120. I don't put any finish on this either. They really are, they're not. They're just a practical little piece of kit. So I just sand that off afterwards on the top, smooth that up a bit. And that's the top done. So I've got a couple more sets of calipers set up. So I'm touching the left-hand side one, which is the one nearest to me, and keeping the right-hand side one off the wood. If I touch that to the wood, it's going to flick them over and, at the very least, make me jump. Hey, Del, how you going? This is still related to the garden, Del, because this is making paper pot makers. There you go, I've got my little marks there for the... So these are, if you have a look at the start, it's to make little seedling pots. So relating to the garden, but I thought it was probably time I did a bit of turning again. I've got another piece of paper here somewhere that I haven't lost it and thrown it in the bin or something like that. Come and do a little bit on the lathe again. So this is just a little bit to tamp it down. Just if you had a look at the start of the live and flick back, you'll see I made a little pot at the start so you can see what I'm doing. And I said the base is give myself a bit of working around there to smooth off the outside a little bit. And then just to I'm just cutting in at the bottom of it so it sits on the outside when it's sitting down. Again, just a little sand off job on the bottom. We'll take the little nub off with the skewer. You're allowed to do that. It's not like opening tins of paint with it. And there's another little pot maker. It's 3 a.m. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, no. Jay does his streams during the day at anywhere between 10 and 11 or 10 and 12. It's currently 9:30 at night here. So I'm doing mine 12 hours out from Jay. Jay's 300 kilometres from me. We're both in the same state, which is a state of chaos mostly. And Robbo he's probably 600-700 k's away from me in the other direction. And Kat's even closer than Jay. She's only 100 odd k's away from me. She lives in my hometown. So I'm not going to stay on here for too long because I want to duck on and, well, I think, I haven't checked. I think Brian was streaming tonight, Heartwood Creations. I don't know. Normally he was doing a Thursday night, or Thursday lunchtime for him, Thursday night for me. The Scot living in Ireland. Just out of the way while I turn it on. Bottom was a bit rough on this one, so I'll just smooth that off a bit. And none of these measurements are absolutely critical. Only in the sense that probably the only one that's semi-critical at all is the relationship between that ridge and that groove, so it's not too tight or too loose. If it's too loose, it won't grip, and if it's too tight, it creates a tear on the bottom of the pot. Hello. Not quite like Robbo. I'm not. I can do it, but I'm not horribly comfortable. It takes a couple of seconds to change the height of the tool rest. Robbo sets the tool rest at a happy medium and does everything from one position, so he's economy of movement, no wasted movement. Hello, so it's going to be a short, sharp little live, this one. I'll knock this one out without talking about it too much. Little V cut down here to give me some relief to finish off on. Okay. It'll be in the shed then. I don't think Ireland's much better than the rest of the UK, is it? The weather's either rubbish or rubbish. It's not raining. It's not raining. Yeah, there's a couple of little jobs like this one's good. Where you're doing. But you can just practice with the skew chisel, and if you do make a little fluff of it, then it really is not much more than a practice piece. You don't have to make these things out of really good wood. This is just rubbish. It really is just rubbish pallet pine. So, you can bang away at these with the skew. It's pretty easy on the skew as well. So, again, that little measurement there is not super critical. So I've now, at Robbo's insistence, I now have 4 skews. Sorry, it's not fair to say Robbo's insistence, but he insisted I use the skew. He suggested a 1/2 inch, and I already had the 1 3/4. And I'm actually seem to be using the 1 1/4 as much as anything now. There's more available cutting edge on it, so you don't have to sharpen as often. Little catch with the skew, that's what happens when you go back too far and you're not watching what you're doing for that. So I'll just stop it and show you what that does. So that's taken a heap of little chunks out there and a little gouge through there, but it looks nasty, but it's not. It makes you jump. But that's all, none of that is the fault of the skew. That's all my fault because I didn't pull the tool away from the work. And that's basically And every time I've done anything with the skew that's made me jump, it's basically been doing that. I've brought it back into the wood too fast without finding the bevel and then just rotating it in. I've been cutting on the long toe or the short toe instead of at the 45 point where you should be cutting. And it really does leave you with a magic finish. Like even with that catch in there, I don't reckon I'm going to have to. A little ridge there I'll take off, and there's a little piece there, so I'll take a little bit more out here, and I'll just do a little V cut there to take the rough bits off there, and that's done. And I won't sand it apart from where I've cut it off. Just as I go down into the hollow there, I'm onto the short hill or short point. Can't remember what Rollo calls it now. You see I've got those little bits there, so if I just come in there like that, then I can just come in and just neaten that up down in there. And I reckon that'll be all right. So that's just a little bit proud there in the middle of the thing. So you want this as parallel as you can get it. That's better. So just coming in now. Hey Chris, how you going? Not going to be here for, well, I might be now. Brian's been rude and working on the farm, I think. What's happening there is I'm skipping back because I'm not presenting the gouge. You want that edge as you present to go in at a right angle when you're starting, and if it's skipping back on you like that, you're out. You're not at a right angle, and you're letting it bite, and it's just wanting to jump back. Going into the middle nice and slow. Don't leave too much of a ridge there then. Turn this around again. Get my other calipers. Keeping it so it's pointing downhill. Eyeballing it a little bit to get it about right. So there we go, that's the one. About right. And the 10mm beating and parting tool is just a little bit too wide to do that. Only just, but it is too wide. I'm going to give myself some relief back here to work to. And all I'm doing here is just smoothing off the outside, just for presentation. Straight off the tool, parting tool. So the length of the base really doesn't matter. Just needs to be solid enough so you don't lose it, really. Don't want it too small, too easy to lose. And we just grab the skew, knock that off. And there we go, we've got another one. Just like that. So that's now, we're hitting to 20 to 10 now our time, so I just thought it was time. I did another little session on the lathe, and I had to make some of these because I had them in the community shop, and the ones I've got made, I think I've got one left there, so I need to make another little batch. Let's go find that one in a minute. You're going to throw them away, throw them my way. So, yep, I'm going to sign off now, guys. Thank you all very much for dropping in. Just a quick, short, sharp little session, 30 minutes, knock up a couple of paper pot makers. Robbo's here watching. So he found himself a little glass dome so he doesn't get his beard all dusty. Yeah, thanks very much for coming in, guys, and I'll catch you all later. Thank you.